Hi guys, happy Easter. This is just a little bit about me and how Jesus came into my life. I spent most of my life in the dark, in quite a painful existence, really. I wasn't really living, I was just existing. And it was just a constant cycle of trying to either get professional help or fill voids in situations that just weren't helpful at all. I actually remember at one point being sat in a psychiatrist appointment and telling my psychiatrist, like, I'm beyond saving, like, you can't help me. Life was just, I just carried a lot of anger and hatred and bitterness around with me, and that just spilled out onto the people around me. I would look to the world to fill a void that it couldn't fill, whether that be in relationships or substances or alcohol. And for a moment it would work. And for a moment I would feel like, oh, okay, things are getting better. And then eventually, the cracks would show. And actually what was happening was that it was going deeper. In the midst of all of that chaos that lasted for probably at least a good 20 years, I was blessed with two beautiful children. And if any of you have had the joy of meeting Preston, you will know that he is just such a ball of energy. And to my surprise, I picked him up from school one day and he was like, "Oh, Mum, do you believe in God?" At the time, I was practicing all sorts of occult practices. I was someone who had believed in a higher power, but I didn't want to put a name on it, and I didn't want to believe it was a man in the sky. So I said no. And he very confidently told me, "Well, you're going to hell." And I was like, "Oh, how bold of you." And he was going through his own sort of struggle with his behavior. And from that, what stemmed was, I needed to help him, but I didn't know how. I think as a mother who hadn't began her own journey with learning how to regulate her emotions, I needed some sort of outside source that was going to help him. And I knew that he had this belief, and he just kept talking about God and Jesus. And to this day, I still don't know where that passion came from. I can only point to the Holy Spirit and just know that that's where that came from. But my best friend, I knew went to church, so I rang her and I asked her, like, "Oh, would you mind if I brought Preston along?" So we came, and he went off into the youth and had a brilliant time, and I stayed and I watched the sermon. And this lady got up at the front and she just spoke very much how I am now, about how some of us were born into families where the people who were supposed to love us and care about us didn't show up. And I just sat there and thought, the rest of you weren't invited that day, actually, because that was just for me. And I just had this amazing, overwhelming feeling. To this day, I've never had a feeling like it. Just this feeling just engulfed my whole being, and had undescribable. And I just knew that there'd been this shift, like something had just happened. And from that, oh my goodness, the shifts that have happened since. It's not been easy, and all of my problems haven't just evaporated because I decided to come to Jesus. But the difference is, I know that everything I do now isn't in my own strength. And the support and the love and the wounds that were so deep that have healed because of the relationship that I have with Jesus is just undescribable. I think the people who are closest to me, the change that they've seen, like, some of them still aren't Christians, but they're undeniably, they're happy for me because they can see how Jesus has worked in my life. And I think when people around you who have seen you at your lowest just can't comprehend where that turn has happened, like, the only difference in my life is God. That's the only change that I've made. With that has came consequential changes, because that's just what happens. He changes you from the inside out. But yeah, it's been amazing. And so if you are someone who feels like I once felt, that you are beyond saving and that you will never be loved and you will never be accepted, that you will and you can. And it's a love that won't leave you, and you don't have to work for it, and you don't have to prove yourself to have it. It's already there. You just need to accept the invitation and take it.